You're listening to Keep Alive. Let's talk with a man with a loud microphone. Here he is, your host and mine, William Lee. Welcome, everybody, and let's talk. Today I'm going to talk about the rioting going on in university campuses that started at Columbia University and now is sweeping the country, one university at a time. What's going on? Why are we having such outrageous, as far as I'm concerned, lawlessness by supposed individuals that are gifted and educated and are ready to become the leaders of this country tomorrow? What is the nature of this whole thing? I sit down and look at what's going on every once in a while on the major media. And, of course, I live on social media, where misinformation comes in by the carload, supposedly. I am really concerned lately over what I've been hearing, however, about how the leadership in Washington, D.C. seems to be ignoring this and handing this propaganda to announce to America that, well, the university thing is, it's freedom of speech, and we're going to protect the rights of those students to do what they're doing. We're not going to send in the troops or back up law enforcement, which is now stretched as thin as you can get it with the defunding of all police departments. We're not going to step in and protect the businesses that are losing money because of the rioting and the problems that are happening in their cities. We're not going to try to stop the spread to different universities and states of this well-orchestrated, well-organized movement of terrorists. It's simple as that. Now, we put up with the border situation, which has caused young people's lives. We have put up with law and order being destroyed by prosecutors that are on the payroll of other individuals. Who knows what time of the day or night that these individuals were groomed into their new active thinking processes of how law and order should be. We've changed our states into complete havens for individual lawlessness to occur simply by saying, well, they came into this country, they're illegal, but we must spread our arms out with love and let them go ahead and murder our citizens, destroy our businesses, steal, rob, and considerably destroy anything that we in these communities have built up under the understanding that we're solvency and we can't prosecute them. Oh, we can lock them up for an hour or two and say naughty, 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 and then turn them over to another organization called the federal government, which automatically puts them on a boat and ships them back home, or do they? That's another question we'll have to look into in another podcast. My complaint is that while this open door policy is going on, and we know for a fact that individuals from different countries that are looking to destroy our country, to destroy democracy, have infiltrated through the gates of our nation's cities and capitals throughout this United States simply by having a policy of open door, oh, come to America, come to America. Isn't it convenient, though, for Mexico and all these other countries to clean out their jails and send the top echelon of wonderful individuals that you'd want living next door to you to our country, and then saying, well, hey, even though they're illegal and they're not really supposed to be in this country, we'll go ahead and, like some areas or states have done, and legalize letting them have firearms. Yeah, I thought was inspirational. It just shows the great leadership of what's going on. But how is this affecting universities? Well, here's my theory, and if I'm wrong, I want to hear from you of what you think I've said that is incorrect. Because as a podcaster, I sit on the fence. I want to look at the positive side and the negative side of controversies to make the podcast realistic so we can gain some communication, which eventually would turn into good conversation amongst maybe our politicians, the leaders that we voted into offices. What's happening on university campuses is shameful, period. I can understand our government coming out, our leader, the gentleman in the White House who does not answer questions at press conferences or meetings, or does he answer questions? Oh, wait a minute. Yes, he did. He answered what happened to his brother when the cannibals ate him. Yeah, I remember that now. I'm sorry. I've misquoted there. We have a situation now whereas that particular leadership believes that we should defend the right of speech. I agree. But does the right of speech encourage everybody to come out and condemn our country, to allow speeches of hatred, of terrorism in our country? Is that what freedom of speech is all about? Being able on a university to, I'm an Ahmad, I'm against all those Jewish people. They need to be raped and burned and the city leveled, and the whole theory of what Jewish people are about need to be destroyed because I'm a Palestinian and Hamas is our leaders. They've trained us, they've taught us and shown us the right way and how we're discriminated against and how we've been run down, murdered, and whatever else they can come up with in their speech. It's incredible, isn't it? Stop and think about it for a moment. Now, I can remember flashback of a local situation here in Seattle, Washington with CHOPS a few years ago, where 6 city blocks were taken over by extremists that blocked themselves in and refused to do what they were supposed to be doing under the Freedom of Speech Act, the discrimination, how they destroyed businesses, destroyed hopes of American entrepreneurs in that area to survive, how they took over the police department, made it their headquarters, and how they told the, I guess, leadership of Seattle, which was not very good, how they were going to do things while the leadership just, okay, well, we got to have them have their rights, and we got to have them make sure they make their speeches, and we got to do this, and we got to listen to them. We've got to listen to them. Yeah, they listened to them and defunded the police department after half of one substation was totally destroyed, a precinct building in the CHOPS area, which they took over, by the way, and made their headquarters, as I mentioned before. Isn't that great? All that money was lost and wasted. A lot of those dollars were taxpayers' money or businesses that were in that area of CHOPS. But not just themselves had to pay for it. The city of Seattle had to pay for it. And it was terrifying. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because CHOPS was organized. There's no doubt about it. They were organized by spineless individuals who won't show their face, but will find individuals that will listen to them and then take action, believing that these low-life worms, as I call them, eating the way through our democracy and destroying our country, fires them up to go do the dirty work. Of course, they don't want to get arrested. They disappear when the problems really get fierce. Where are they at? They're vanished. They're gone. University campuses have the same problem, I believe, going on. I think that this agitation started well before the first bombs and the first killing started when the Palestinians attacked Israel. They raped and murdered women at a music concert or festival. And yet the Palestinians feel that was right. That was okay to do that. But then when the tide turned, they were all very upset because, well, we've got people being killed and it's just not right. But yet the Palestinians had the right to march in, take lives, and do disgusting, inhumane things to humans. And we are just, and the Israelites are just to, oh, well, we'll just let it go, and we'll sit down at the table and listen to them because, we don't want to have any hard feelings. This is war. The Israelis have the right to protect their country and smack the heck out of the Palestinians. They are the ones that started this mess. I don't remember a time lately in the last 2 or 3 years, even though there's been political garbage going on between the countries. I know the Gaza Strip has been a hotbed for many years. But now the terrorists have moved in from Iran and other areas to see if they can wind things up. They have infiltrated and put together a policy which works very well when you put individuals on a train, fly them into America, or maybe they were nice enough to walk in, who knows. But they very quietly came to this country. They found the weak spot that we have, which I always thought were higher schools of education, where individuals that would learn to be physicists, rocket research, wonderful things to help society grow. These were people that supposedly going to these universities were our future leaders. And now, thanks to Columbia University and other universities, which are now allowing this to go on, where these individuals have taken over the campus, they've moved in tents, they're living there, they're chanting, they're even taking to the point where Israeli women are scared to go to college. The classes had to be at Columbia stopped, and they have to go via computer for the safety of those individual students that are not involved in this, but are Israelis. That's just not right, folks. That's not right at all. And our president, who stands behind the freedom of speech, doesn't do one thing when they start saying and burning our flags and saying death to America. That's terrorism. And freedom of speech and terrorism in the dictionary do not have the same definition. I guess the President of the United States doesn't have a copy of Webster's dictionary. Maybe that's the problem. When we listen to social media and or the media and all the little people that back up the president, make sure that A, his speeches are written properly, B, he has the right shoes on his feet, C, he doesn't answer any questions, and they keep reporters away from him because if they get too close to him and start asking questions, he may say something wrong or maybe he'll forget where he's at. Who knows? But they want to make sure he's protected continuously. The only time that you ever get an answer freely, I would say, answered by the president is when his presidential helicopter is sitting on the ground there and he's walking from the White House over to get into the copter to take off because he has to have a holiday at the beach or, go back to his home in Delaware and check to see if the maid has properly cleaned the rooms. This is wrong. And all the people that follow him, the good, liberal-minded, socialistic individuals that are dead-heart Democrats that are just going to follow whatever the drum beat makes them wealthy on, will continue to peddle this Bidenomics, which is garbage, which will peddle law and order, which is going down the tube, which will peddle the idea that, well, we shouldn't say too much now. Just let them work. They'll die down and go down, and America will be the freedom spot to speak, and there'll be no problems at all. Well, I've got a suggestion. First of all, let's take all of these people, the ones that write the flyers and put together these podcast programs also, which are showing up about hating Israel. Let's take those individuals and the marchers that usually stay behind the ones that they have motivated and got into the front lines because their IQ does not allow them to think, or do they have any common sense to think with, march and cause havoc. Why don't we take all of them, gather them up, and because they're such a fighting force, they're such a moving force of things that need to be done, why don't we put them in Palestine? Yeah. Can't we get an aircraft loaded up and secretly fly over the Palestinian area, open the door, make sure everybody has a parachute that hopefully wasn't made in Egypt or Iran or Russia, so it'll open, and push them out one by one so they can land in their homeland and then burn flags and make speeches and do things of this nature that they've been doing in our college campuses, on our freeways, on our meeting areas, and causing chaos. Why don't we do that? Good question, huh? It's kind of like Whoopi Goldberg that said, and I quote, "If Trump is elected, I'm going back to Africa." She never did leave, by the way. She's on The View, and she's still making speeches and fighting for the rights of the Democrats. I believe that she has rights. I believe that everybody has rights and opinions. But I do not believe that anybody or any other organization on this planet, no matter what their culture is, the color of their skin, their education, or their family background, has the right to spit on America, to burn flags, to say death to this country. I just don't believe that that is really what should be said, because I mark that as terrorism, period. Only terrorism can grow if it has a fuel to work with, and that fuel is ignorance. And right now we are seeing educated individuals that are spending mom and dad's money to live in a tent and protest and jump up and down while they're supposedly supposed to be receiving higher education, presenting themselves ready for the next task of this world to lead this country. Boy, it's scary, isn't it? Think about it. How would you like to have some of those guys out there that are burning the flag 10 years from now saying to our families, "Well, when I was in college, I took care of those damn politicians them days. I ignored them. And I tell you right now, we had a lot going on. By God, we were living in tents. We were fighting the system that just didn't work. We were fighting against this country and a race that we didn't like, that we wanted genocide." Boy, that's going to be great for this country, isn't it? Leadership like that, it's hard to buy. But not really. George Soros has bought politicians. He has a handful of people in key positions that are destroying America within. He has the money to do so. I would not be surprised if he did not hire a gang of individuals to hit these campuses one after another, program out what they need to do to start a protest and what effect it needs to have, and fund their activities to make sure that they're financially taken care of for all their wonderful deeds. Now, why am I picking on this gentleman, Mr. Soros, S-O-R-O? I'll tell you why. Because if you look into his family background and history, you'll find, and his history, that he is, without a doubt, the closest thing that we could compare to a son of Satan. He has no conscience, no morals, no nothing. He is out to destroy this country. He will put up every stolen dollar that he has illegally gained, and he will plant it into America because he has made the speech public. In his lifetime, he wants to see this country go down the tube, to be conquered by other nations. He is absolutely a son of Satan. And as long as he's got money, as long as people are stupid enough to follow him, Adolf Hitler people followed him, huh? A lot of them were educated. Yeah, look at the mess he caused. I think Soros thinks he can do the same thing. I really do, with the dollar bill. Staying out of sight because he is a cowardless, worthless worm. So the only thing I can think of is he's getting older. How would you like to be him and go to the pearly gates and explain, if you believe in God, what did you do down there, George? Why are all those people killed? Why did you destroy all those nations and make such accusations? George, push the button with the arrow down because you ain't staying up here. That's, I know, a horrible thing to say, but it's the truth. He is not one of us. He isn't even, I don't know if he's even human, to be frank and honest. But while we allow him to continue on And while we allow these universities and colleges to open their door to such hatred, such, oh, we're leadership and we know better than the rest of the world, we're going to have those problems. And while we continue to let the President of the United States not make any comments, oh, not a comment has he made, when we leaders are boneless, back-throbbing, backstabbing, ignoring, and collecting dollar bills for it, of what this country is going through to fatten their coffers, pretty sad, isn't it? I really feel rotten. Why? Because my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, they're going to have to live through this hell if these conditions continue. If we do not get out and teach our kids what it's like to be in America, what they should be grateful for, to bring back the ideology of America, to bring back the foundation of the rights of law and order, to start getting the individual worms that are eating at our democratic society and eliminate them, send them back home, or silence them and let them grow old by themselves, we're in trouble. And those kids, those individuals, those adults of that time period, what are they going to do? Because their hands will be full of hate, discontent, and lawlessness. And the country that we know and love right now will be like the Titanic, hitting an iceberg of terrorism and sinking. All hands on board. We've got to, in the next few months, make a stand. I've made this statement before, and I will make it again. This election year will be the worst in the history of this country. There is so much lying and cheating and thievery going on by our leadership. You know, it only takes 10% to mess up the 90% of good work that many Republicans and Democrats have tried to do. It only takes 10% to take our democracy and flush it down the toilet, to allow communism to ran right through our gates and to take over our cities and our country. That's what's happening now. Piece by piece, inch by inch, they are eating up our democracy. And while our leadership sits there on, I really like ice cream that tastes vanilla-ish, and I'm telling you as president that Snickers bar will return to the full size, because those millionaires, those companies that are taking our money away on productivity, etc., well, they won't anymore, that's for sure. So stand by, America. We will make this work. We will put this back together again. From a man who has a hard time writing a speech, figuring out what shoes to wear, what direction is north or south, and has taken more vacations than any president in the United States history, for a president that has never, ever openly talked to the people of America, who takes the press and ignores them like no other president has done before, and silences America. I don't know what to say in that case. I really don't, except for one thing. We have got to now draw the line in the sand. Those who are listening to me, pass the word around. Get ready to vote. Start talking to your representatives. Put your foot down now in your local leadership corps, because those are the people that have to respond to those in the larger command centers like Washington, D.C. We've got people right now, ladies and gentlemen, and you've seen them on the streets, that are starving to death, homeless people, millions of dollars being wasted. And now we have to go through universities rioting and causing more havoc in America. I hope and pray that this won't be the end of America. Until we talk again, I'd like you to know that you can reach me by simply sending me an email at Keeba, K-E-E-B-A, agency. That's Keeba Agency at gmail.com. Or you can go to our website that we're building. It's keepasmiling.com. Remember, everybody, if we can just once again visualize in our minds how America should be and how we are going to work forward to put America back together, with love in our hearts and a helping hand up to those that believe in our country, will always keep us smiling.